Oh, hi friends. How's it going? Long time no see. So this past week I took over for the last week of filming as the costume set supervisor on a Lifetime drama, I believe, for a friend who was going on vacation. I knew this was coming up. I had a couple daily days on this film and I knew that I was gonna take over this last week. And I figured this is the perfect time to test out how feasible it is to work on a film as well as continue to hustle, making crochet projects for my Etsy store, making social media posts about it, video editing, all of that. Let's see how I can balance the two things, if it is even possible. For those of you who don't know, I am a costumer. I work in film and TV, and it is a very taxing, demanding job. Our minimum hours are usually 12 hours plus one because lunch is a non-paid hour. So our workday is at minimum 13 hours generally. Spoiler alert, this week turned into not that. Our last day was 15 and a half hours. And it was a lot. But I thought, hey, we had 4 days of shoot, 4 days of work, which isn't bad. And I wanted to see if I was gonna be able to balance that and all the other stuff I wanna do. So yeah. Come along with me. See how I did. See how it went. See what I made. So to start any project, one has to write a plan of action, and that's exactly what I did. I spent the Sunday before going back to work writing out what I wanted to do, making sure that I had all the supplies for what I needed to make, etc. Thankfully, I know I did have that. I had the yarn, I have the tools. That was absolutely no problem. No shopping required. But I wanted to set out exactly what I wanted to complete by the end of the week so I knew what my goals were. So by the end of the week, I wanted to have made 3 Etsy shop items, 5 social media posts, preferably reels, but some photos are okay, and have a plan on how to edit together this video to release the following Sunday. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen, but we'll go over that. With it being Easter weekend coming up and my work schedule being what it was, I was really setting that bar high. And in order to keep on track, I wanted to make something visually pleasing that I could look at every morning. So I used Canva to make this beautiful little schedule. Morning guys, 3:45 in the morning. Generally I like to wake up a couple hours before I have to leave the house so I can do my normal routine, which means journaling, making a coffee, just getting my day started on the right foot. Throughout the day, it was really busy. We were filming a huge funeral scene, but I did make time to crochet at lunch. Here's me just standing on set, watching a take. And then at around 7:30, I walked home and was able to have a nice little dinner. I tried to relax a little bit before I got into crocheting. These are my babies, Quiet and Ghost. They're such good babies. But yeah, I really wanted to set Monday as a great starting point for this week because I knew it was going to be busy. I chose the easiest project I could think of to start on, and that is a little bookmark. I have a deep love of lace and anything delicate, so I decided to make the smallest bookmark known to man. It's this little lace piece that you will see in a second, and I think I used a 1.5 millimeter hook for this, and here we go. Puff stitch, my favorite stitch. I have realized over this last week of projects, my favorite stitch in the world. So on Tuesday, call was a little later in the morning. It was, I think, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. So I was able to start in on my next project right top of day because I still got up quite early. I think I got up at 6. And I decided to tackle the most complicated granny square known to man. Now, this is where things started to go awry. I know you're thinking to yourself, how many things could go wrong after 1-2 days of work? Well, let me tell you. A lot. Generally on a call sheet, you're given the day's schedule and then usually 2 days in advance. So on Monday, I could see what we were doing on Tuesday and Wednesday, which was fine. Perfect. I think Tuesday's call time was 10 a.m., which means we would typically go till 11 p.m. Then Wednesday's call time was 1 p.m. So let's say we would go until 2 a.m. at latest. This shoot had been going very fast. We were doing 9-10-hour days. It was great. So in my head, I was thinking, perfect. I have time in the morning to work on stuff. I would have a nice sleep. I would work on some crocheting stuff in the morning, do work again, so on and so forth for the 3 or 4 days. What happened was that call got pushed. Now, typically, the production likes to set up the days so that we're not going from an early morning shift to a overnight call. That's exactly what happened. We ended up shooting until 5:30 Thursday morning, or 5 o'clock, and I left it around 5:15, 5:30. So what ended up happening was I was working so late into the night that the next day I was totally beat. So my motivation really slipped. Now, if you know me at all, you know that generally I am a very early riser, love to get up early in the morning. I generally wake up around 5:30 or 6 and then get my day going and do all that. And then I'll tank it if I have to on shoots like this, where it's 1 or 2 days. But there's a little bit of mental preparation that I need that I didn't have. Going from Monday, where I was feeling really productive, Tuesday I got right into crocheting my book sleeve. Spent quite a bit of time in the morning doing that. Then Tuesday night came about, we wrapped it around, I want to say midnight-ish. And then we went into that overnight. That was rough. I didn't end up getting much done. I did, however, get 3 reels done. So I got my social media done, I got quite a bit of crocheting done, and then I ended up finishing the projects over Easter weekend anyway. But this is where we're at right now in this video. I was a little overly ambitious and thought that doing only a few rows of this granny square on Tuesday morning was sufficient. I did make a reel on Tuesday, so I feel good about that. But I really left myself way too much work to tackle on Wednesday morning, which was the morning before the huge 15.5-hour overnight shoot. I did forget to tell you that they canceled the last day of filming, so we had, I think, 16 pages of dialogue to shoot, which is a lot. Generally a day is about 8 pages. So I really made sure to relax this morning. I did still want to focus on trying to keep balance in my life. So I always kept my morning routine the same. I did want to make time to take time for myself and do my little hobbies. And I was reading the book Enchantra. Guys, read it. As much as I wanted to show you guys what I did on Wednesday through this really long shoot, I didn't get any footage. That was me leaving, and this was the sky as I was getting in my car as the sun was rising. And that was it. I was done the shoot. Now, I did do a wrap day on Thursday afternoon, but in the morning, I really wanted to sit down and still try and push myself to tackle some crocheting. So I sewed in a lining to my book sleeve here, but I only sewed in a lining to the back of it so that the book could slide in a little easier. It was catching on some of the more open spaces in the stitching. In future, I think I would line the whole thing, but c'est la vie. This is a learning process. That's what I wanted to be doing at this moment.
Yes, otherwise it would be red pants or blue.
I took some time on Friday morning to look over all the footage that I had taken and try and do some last minute organizing and planning on the projects that I was working on. I still had yet to make what were going to be coasters that ended up being a travel mug cozy, which are my new favorite things to make because they're just cute rectangles that you turn into a little sleeve. I did face a few problems along the way, but because of that, I also learned a lot along the way. Take this granny square, for instance. I loved the pattern and I thought it was beautiful and I thought it would make an amazing book sleeve. So I took this, I lined it, I turned it into a little envelope, but over time, as I was working on folding it, putting it all together, I realized because of the intricacy of the pattern, it just wasn't gonna make a good book sleeve. Do I love it? Yes, I do. I'm actually using it. I'm gonna keep it and I'm not gonna put it on my Etsy store, but it's super wonky. There's also the case of this mug cozy that I decided to make instead of coasters. It's my new favorite thing. You just make a rectangle, then it can fit around your travel mug, see? But this was the first time I ever used this pattern that I found on Pinterest. And as you can see, it's super wonky doodle. So I've remade it with a nicer border. I just have to block it and attach the two ends, and I think it's gonna look way better than that first try. So after putting together this entire video and watching it back, I realized it needed a little bit of a reflection at the end here because I kind of just ended it very abruptly. And that won't do. We need a little bit of a summarization of things, of the events. So let's go back to the very beginning where I decided to make this plan and try to carry it out and how that went. I think having my goals written out and printed out and posted up there and just having them in my mind every day was the best thing I could have done. It's the best thing that anyone can ever do when we're trying to accomplish any task, is to inundate ourselves with that task or the things that we're trying to accomplish, to keep them in the forefront of our minds, right? Because I'm very bad with following through with things. It's not my forte. I like to be like, well, I could do that later because right now I could scroll for 45 minutes to 7 hours. And having limited time in the week, having a plan of action was imperative to my success. And as much as I feel like I could nitpick on all the stuff that I didn't accomplish, in reality, I actually accomplished quite a bit. I mean, so this is the finished book sleeve that I made. It has a little magnetic closure here that I put on. I just sewed it on. And the thing is, I sewed the lining on by hand. It's a nice little slip stitch. I know you can just use fabric glue. I don't know, I hit myself so hard. I know you can just use fabric glue to attach these things, but I'm a bit of a seamstress, so I like to sew things. I made this dress. Oh, if you're watching this YouTube channel, you know that. Silly me. So this is pretty impressive to have made. This is actually my favorite thing that I made. Look at that. I'm using it as a bookmark in this book right now. That's a placeholder, but this is a book I'm reading. My review is pending. I'm 69 pages in. I don't know how I feel about it. This, I think, was my biggest disappointment, but the one that I'm currently making right now looks so much better. And what I did learn is, I know I'm not going to use this as a book sleeve, but I'm trying out this new motif right now, or trying a different stitch pattern. It's a bit screwed up. I'm trying to teach myself it, and it's very like screwy, but it's going to be a whole bunch of like little flowers like this. This was just a little swatch to try and test out whether or not I'd be able to retain the pattern, and I can. I'm doing it. Ignore the beginning. Anyway, so in the end, I accomplished a lot. I made 3 things. I did my social media posts. I'm gonna put this on Etsy, and I'm gonna put my mug cozy on Etsy when it's finished. And I'm going to make another book sleeve, and it's gonna be beautiful. And all of those are vast accomplishments. So I will update you when all of those things are on my Etsy store. Stay tuned for the next video where I just make more things and inundate you with my life occurrences. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Bye. See you next time.